Hi, I'm Jackie Brenda from Smelly Dog. Thanks for tuning in today. Today we are talking to the Brewmance guys. I'm so excited to have them on today. So today we're drinking beer. So anybody at home who's joining us and drinking, crack open your favorite beer. And for the dogs, we're just going broth. I'm doing bone broth. Penny today is drinking beef bone broth, but whatever you've got in your pantry, any kind of chicken, beef, or veggie even will work. So let's get started. Welcome to the show, Brewmance dudes. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. We're doing great. I didn't know the dogs should drink so well. That's fabulous. I basically thought water. And then there we go. But
I mean, water's great for dogs, but here on the Yappy Hour show, we drink humans, and then I come up with a little concoction for our dogs to drink as well with us.
That's awesome.
My listeners.
The benefits of dogs drinking broth. I've never heard this before either.
I'm going to start drinking it.
So many great benefits. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and start. What are you drinking? We have Rob and we have Mike today. So, Mike, what are you drinking?
Well, I figured since we were doing this with our station's backdrop here with the Huss Brewing, I thought I'd bring something from Huss Brewing. So it is their Copper State IPA, the local stuff.
Which is also interesting. So they also own the Papago brand. So this is their newer Desert Sage Orange IPA. It's got a hint of orange zest in it. It's got some sage in it, some agave, supposed to represent the desert. Very, very good beer.
This has no copper essence in it. It's just called Copper State IPA. It's a good IPA. That's basically what it is.
Yeah. Since we're in the Copper State, Arizona's the Copper State. There we go. Well, I love that you guys are drinking local. I love shopping local. I have a local business, love supporting that. I had to just go into my, beer stockpile that I've got here in my house. So unfortunately, I've already drank all of my locals, but I do have, so I have today, I'm drinking 10 Barrel Brewing Company. They're out of Bend, Oregon. They're Crush, which is a sour. I love a sour or a ghost beer. So that's what I'm drinking today.
Very nice.
I love 10 Barrel's marketing. I love their can art that it just says like pub beer or I just love the simplicity.
Yeah, and it's just easy. So I'm doing the cucumber sour today.
Cool.
Easy peasy. And I thought I'd be fancy. I got my nice beer.
I love it.
Mug out. So I'm gonna do a little.
I love
everything about beer. I love everything from how it sounds when you crack the beer open, how it looks while you're pouring it. I like the little bit of fuzziness here at the top.
That's a good
how it goes down and how refreshing, and especially on a warm day. Tell me, what got you guys into loving beer and doing your Brewmance show?
Well, I just always loved beer. It really wasn't a time where I didn't really not love beer. And then this one came up to me at a barbecue. I was just grilling stuff at the house, and he said, "Hey, I have a good idea. Let's do beer reviews and put them online." Okay. 4 years later, we're here. We have our own radio show, and it's just evolving and just moving along as most things do.
And I would only add, Jackie, to that, we found that while we were hanging out, drinking beer, many of it local, we not only had that love of the same kinds of beer and want to support local, we had these interesting conversations around the beers. So that's what the Brewmance kind of became, right? It became sort of a place to crack open a beer, review a beer, and let's talk about things, because you can disagree over a beer and you work it out as friends. You're like, cool, good conversation.
Yeah, we all don't have to love the same things, and it can all be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you two are drinking IPAs today.
Yes.
Right?
We're big.
So
IPA.
is that your go-to?
Yes.
Are you guys IPA guys? That's your love?
There's more IPAs in the fridge than anything else. That's how I'll put it.
It's a good way to put that.
So how do you feel about people who don't like IPAs?
Cool.
It's okay. Okay, good, because I'm not an IPA person.
You can have stouts. Who cares? You can have whatever. You can have a sour. It doesn't bother us at all. Just sit down and have a drink with us, and we'll chat about cool stuff.
And we try not to be, because so many people in the craft beer world are snobs, and we're not. We would encourage you to drink local and find local beer that you like. So if you are a Coors Light drinker or a Bud Light drinker, let's go to Helton Brewing and let's try Brian Helton's Pilsner. Let's go to, 12 West and try their Zona Pilsner. Mm-hmm. And let's try to introduce you to a local beer that's made right in here in our community and see if you like it. And if not, we'll try something else. We'll find something you like.
Love it. Love it. So I have been looking at your Instagrams, and I love that you guys are doing this. Is it Open Up Arizona or Reopen Arizona? And you've been a few places. So tell me about, I'm going to talk about these last 3 places you guys have been. Tell me about their beers and what you like about them and how the experience was. I know we're just getting back into people getting back open here in Arizona. Back from the coronavirus. So tell me a little bit about it. So you guys went to Belton Brewing Company. What was that like?
So it's on Indian School in like 22nd Street. So if you're getting off 51 Indian School, you go east, and it's right there. It is this cool place. It's one of actually these hats, when we ordered these hats, we had a meeting. There was 3 of us on the team at the time. So we're like, you know what, let's go. Where's a mid place for us to meet? Because Mike was coming from Run Direction and he had to go west. I was coming from over here where we're at today, and our friend Jordan was in Scottsdale. So I said, why don't we meet at Helton Brewing and exchange the hats, give each other the hats. So that's when we first met Brian Helton. And he is, I'll say it this way, he's a mad scientist. His beers are so good, and he's been brewing beer forever. But he opened up I think he just had his 4-year anniversary a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So he's been open for 4 years. And he just makes phenomenal beer. My personal favorite at his is his Northeast IPA. It is in my top 3 beers of all time. It is so stinking good.
Yeah, I go with I actually asked him before we went, before he opened, we had him on our show. And I asked him about his black IPA, if he was going to have the black IPA. He said, no, I'll probably be out of the black IPA. When we went there on day 1 of the opening, and that black IPA was on the menu, I thought, that's just God smiling on me, and I got to have his
You heard the voices, the clouds opened up.
It was fabulous. So, yeah, I'm a huge fan of just how he runs business, how he does business. I like the vibe there. I like everything going on, and it was really cool that he had menu items, really good food. Those nachos were fantastic, and it was ready to go. He was open for business, and to see people there on day 1 was really cool.
Another great thing about Brian Helton, the brewer and the owner, is how much he's actually helped other brewers. So in a lot of businesses would be competition. I'm not helping anybody. Sure. That's not what he's like at all. And in fact, that's not what many of the brewers and businesses are like here in the Valley. And it's amazing to see teamwork and collaboration, even in the same field. So we're very happy to know Brian and call him a friend.
Very cool. Very cool. And you guys also visited is a State 48 Brewery and the Saddle Mountain Brewing Company. What'd you guys find there?
I'd say State 48 was rough. That was day 1 of the reopening, and we got there after our show ended at 7 o'clock. About 7:30 we got there, and it was us and one other person.
Oh yeah.
And then that person left. It was just us in the entire building. But the reason why was they didn't have they had no food. And that was because the supply chain hadn't kicked up yet. They haven't had their orders delivered yet, so they just had nothing to cook. So there were people calling in, showing a lot of interest, and really wanting to support and get there that day. But they went to a place that actually had food, and we just sat there and had a couple beers. And what do we have? The Magic Yak. Oh, it's fantastic.
Good beer.
Mm-hmm. Magic Yak.
Nice, nice.
It's just, but the idea, look, we've always looked at it this way. So now that we're a couple of weeks into this, we're open a little bit. We knew that we were ready to be part of that first wave, Jackie. And we hope that sends the message to those that aren't quite ready, that it's safe to go out. We're going to be the guinea pigs, if you will. We're going to go drink the beers because we know that these businesses need to stay afloat. And without money, without us going in there, they're not. So our intention is to support as many of our favorite local businesses as possible. We encourage everybody that's ready to do it to do the same. Bring your hand sanitizer if you want. Wash your hands. Bring your wipes.
Bring your masks.
You need to do to feel safe to go in there. But I did notice at State 48 how the bartender cleaned the bar. And they're taking it seriously. Let me put it that way. It wasn't just they took the old dish rag and wiped it down like they used to do, right? That smelly thing.
Yeah.
She sprayed it with some sanitizer and actually wiped it down. It wasn't just the rag. You don't know where it's been. You don't know what it touched. But the spray went right on the bar. And I think that's what we're going to find. A lot of these places are going to take this very seriously. And I think to Mike's point, he lives out in the West Valley. So he goes to Saddle Mountain all the time, which is a great spot in Goodyear. We've talked to Laura Hansen, the owner, several times through this process. And she doesn't know what's coming. So that's why we like, all right, we're coming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did. And Saddle Mountain was fantastic. Opening night was great. There was a bunch of people there. I think it was 80 degrees that night. So everyone was out on the patio, and we just had a great time. And the great food, they actually ran out of a lot of their food. They had such an outpouring of support that they were running out of menu items. And that's just, positive problem to have. So they were all happy. And their 643 Session IPA is one of the best brews around, and Raised Gold.
Yep.
Love some Raised Gold.
Now, I'll go back to Helton for a second because he actually makes very good sours. So since you're drinking a sour today, Jackie, you might want to go check out the boysenberry sour that Brian Helton makes. And he's also made a cherry sour in the past, which was actually really good. And I don't really like sours, but his sour game is on point.
Mm-hmm.
And his beers, can we get them, are they bottled or canned, or we need to go into the brewery and get them?
Canned at you can get them at Total Wine. Actually, I was there today, and it was that section, like they had the local section, and Brian's section sold out. Of course, I took a picture.
Oh, nice.
I said, "This is a positive problem. Get more over here because positive problem for you, negative problem for me because I wanted to get some." But yeah, he's got his Snake Venom Pilsner, his Northeast IPA, and his boysenberry sour, all available at Total Wine. Yeah.
Well, if it's Total Wine and More, I've probably tried it. I love how you can go in and I can get like one of these and try the different ones. And I've had people, I'm like, okay, I need every sour you have so I can try them all. I love other beers as well, but since, I don't know, a couple of years ago when I was introduced to a sour, I'm like, no, that's my beer. Like that's what I enjoy more than anything. So I will definitely go back, and maybe I could go to Belton. You think they would give me a growler?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, they will. Yeah. They'll get you a growler. That's for sure.
We can perhaps.
Yeah. All right. Good.
We can do a Brewmance Jackie shopping trip. Put this in there. Put this in there. Put this in there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, good. All right. Well, great. Now, okay. Mike, you have dogs.
Yes, 2 of them.
And looks like they are Star Wars themed names. Tell our audience what your dogs' names are.
They are my bounty hunters. They're Jango Fett, Jango Fett, and Boba Fett. Yes, they are German short hair pointers.
Ooh, nice. Are you a hunter? Do you go out and hunt with them?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. That's why I got them. That's why I got Django. And then the trainer told me, this won't be your only German short hair. You'll get another one. Sure enough, that's 6 months later, we're shopping for another one, and along came Boba.
Is that because you really like the dogs, or like you got to have them as a pair?
They have to have a pair. It's a pair because they need to work all that energy off together and run around the yard and do all that and fight and wrestle around, and they need that.
They have a lot of energy.
Well, sure. So they're bird dogs. So you use them for their job, for bird hunting, but when you're not, the 2 of them run around the yard and get their exercise out that way. Get their energy out that way?
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh, and I did not introduce to my audience, so because we're drinking beer, and so the doggy brew today is just the bone broth. So I have that for Penny today.
Nice.
This is
Where's Penny?
This is Penny.
Oh, look at Penny.
Say hi. Say hi. I know she's pretty squishy. She's a cutie.
Cute.
Her want some bone broth?
Shouldn't all non-hunting dogs be a little squishy? Shouldn't they be a little spoiled? Like my mother has a Weimar.
And she's got this. She just has this extra skin, which is so adorable. Yeah, she's pretty cute. But man, Penny can run. So she goes to doggy daycare most days. Oh, and I've got my kids. You might see my kids in and out of the shot today.
Awesome.
They're doing really good, trying to be quiet while mommy does a Zoom. But she's fast. So she goes in with the little dogs, but she kind of gets bored playing with the little dogs. And so we'll let her in with the big dogs when we throw the ball, and she beats them all. She goes underneath. She puts her little ears back to her head, and she goes under their legs, and she's really fast. She's a ball dog, not a bird dog, but she loves playing ball.
I used to have a boxer lab mix. And his name was Champ, and we had him on the doggy beach when we're from Huntington Beach, and we had him at the dog beach, and I was just not even thinking about it. I had the big chuck it, and I was throwing it on, where the kind of the packed sand is right before the water, kind of. So I was throwing it to get some good distance, And right when I threw it the first time, there was this pack of dogs up about probably 30 yards away. They saw me throw it. So the whole pack just starts running towards it, and Champ is way behind. He's doing good. Sit till I tell him to go. He cuts the whole group like Seabiscuit, just coming through the whole thing. He outran all of them, and they even had a head start. Yeah, Yeah, my favorite ball throwing experience right there. My boy, that's my boy right there. Yes. Yeah.
So I feel like Boston Terriers, which is what I have, are like little miniature boxers. They're very similar dogs with the short face and the pointy ears, and their bodies are a lot alike. It's just Boston's are a tiny version.
There's a shrunken version of them.
A shrunken version.
They're great.
Yeah.
They're fantastic.
Yeah. So those are my guys.
Yeah.
All right, and so tell me, I know you guys during quarantine time, you guys have been able to be out and about quite a bit, but there was a time when you guys had to do the show from home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had it from each of our homes. So
yes.
I was in Goodyear, he was in North Phoenix, and you consider that North Phoenix?
Yeah.
Okay.
Central North.
Yeah, North Phoenix, and then we had to station our tech here. So that was very, very challenging to figure all that out. But iHeart set us all up with mobile studios, and so we had all the technology there. And I turned our office into a studio, and he turned his dining room into a studio, and away we went. We just did not Zoom, we did StreamYard and Skype, so we could see each other. Because in studio we can hand gesture motion. I'm speaking now. I'm going to, and now we need that when we're on air. So we had to see each other while we're on air.
Like, I got a point. Do like a little bit. Like, I'm gonna add to your point or whatever like that. So when you're done, I got you. I'm ready to go.
The toughest part about that, because of the technology, the delay. So there was this, dead air in radio is dead. It's not good. So we had that delay. So I had to see when I saw his mouth stop moving, I could still hear him speaking because of the delay. I had to start talking when I saw his mouth stop moving on the video. So that was weird because he was finishing his thought in my ear, but I had to start my thought or there's just dead air on the radio. It was an odd thing. I'm very happy to be back in the studio. Very happy.
So any funny stories about your time in quarantine doing these shows from your house or with your family?
I think the the funniest thing really wasn't really funny. It was lame because I'm, enjoying myself. I got a button-up shirt here because we're doing the video. I've got workout shorts on. I think I slept in them. I just walked out and put a button-up shirt on and get in there. And then all of a sudden, I think it was 10 minutes before our show start, my connection dropped. So I couldn't go on air. So I'm telling him, texts are moving around and we're trying to get everything taken care of. And I'm like, I have to now drive 27 miles into the studio. And very quickly, I have to do this. He's doing the show for the first hour. I get basically getting into the second hour right when he's done at the top. And I'm rolling in. And that happened, I think, 3 times.
Yep.
Yeah, about 3 times. It's stressful because I have to put pants on. I was lame.
And if you're at your house and the internet goes out or some technical problem happens, you're on your own.
Yeah.
You don't have the techie guy or girl there to help you out.
And then with the dogs, we're live on air, and then the doorbell rings, God forbid, and those two go, and I'm right by the front door, and so it's okay, everyone, Django and Boba. There they are. Yeah.
We do prep meetings. So what Mike's talking about with Skype. So we get on Skype and we're talking about ideas and we're building the show, putting things in the right place, what time. And that's where his dogs like to hang out and look out the window. So every now and again, you let them in and they'd be sitting there and then just be like perched, like looking at the birds and the chipmunks or whatever it runs around in your neighborhood.
Yeah, I call it their screen time. They just sit and stare. and being the pointers that they are, they'll see like a rabbit or something, they'll just lock and they'll just their tails just dink and they're just they will not move. And I just pat them on the head, no bird.
No.
And then they sit down.
They're like, oh, disappointed.
Yeah. Yours are better trained than mine. We have a really big window, or 3 really large windows, and they're only about, 8 inches off the ground. So my dogs like to perch in them and they patrol the perimeter, and they're not trained to just stop and point. Penny does point every now and then. She thinks she's a bird dog. But they bark. It's like, oh, mailman's here, or oh, we see a cat. or
Right.
my one dog is very, he doesn't like wheels. So if there's a baby in a baby carriage, all hell breaks loose. We've got to warn the neighborhood that, there's a bicycle or anything on wheels. He goes crazy.
But
Now,
sometimes it can be beneficial. So I was dog sitting my buddy Rob's dog. His dog's named Vader. Again, another Star Wars themed dog. And it's like what is this thing? It's like a Labradoodle, not a Labradoodle. It's like one of those, yeah. But he's a
curly hair thing.
So we have the same thing. We have 3 big windows, and he starts barking one night. We're watching him, and I'm like, "What are you barking at?" And he barks at all kinds of stuff. So I always get up and look. The first time I saw javelina in my backyard was because Vader alerted me to the javelina. So I was like, that was kind of cool. I'm like, there's my first live javelina sighting.
Nice.
Good job, Vader.
Well, we live really close to the university in Tempe, Arizona. We have an old house for Phoenix or for Arizona. And so we don't see a lot of wildlife here. So we just get warned about a bicycle or
you see a lot of wildlife.
A cat.
It's just not animals. So you see a lot of wildlife. That's for sure.
College students in there.
We do have a lot of college students that live nearby that rent homes. And so, we see that kind of wildlife for sure.
Oh, I bet.
Different kind.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But it is on display.
So guys, do you have any questions for me? Any dog questions?
Yes. I have a ton of dog questions for you because I was failing my dogs. Like they're like these fine-tuned athletes, and they're just so good at what they do. And I feel like I'm not taking good enough care of them. I'm not, maybe I'm not feeding them the right food, or Django's sick right now. He's got some swollen snout thing happening, and I'm like, I don't know what the heck. Maybe he got into something or something bit him because he's always digging. I don't know. But you were talking about the bone broth that you're feeding your dog, and I thought, well, should I be feeding my dog that? Should I not be giving him beer?
Yeah. Well, answer to that is yes, absolutely. But first thing, go and listen to my podcast series. And I do a couple of shows just about nutrition and just breaking it down. What is the different foods that are available? Why are they commercially available? And what's the best options for you? So it'll just kind of break everything down, the history of dog food, and then, kind of categorize what's okay, what's better, what's best. So I'm a big believer in raw dog food. So if you can afford raw dog food, it is the most expensive because it is the best. It's not cooked because dogs can consume raw, and that's how they're meant to eat because they come from wolves. They're 99.9% the same as wolves. And now a lot of people don't know wolves and dogs are not in a separate genus. They're the same genetically, so they should eat the same genetically. And so raw food, it's still available commercially at your local pet food store. So it's sold in freezers, and so you just take it home, put it in the freezer, put like 3 meals worth in the fridge to defrost, put it in the dog bowl, add some water or bone broth. You can add things like goat's milk is really good protein for them. And so basically it's a high protein, high fat, very low carbohydrate diet for dogs. It's biologically appropriate.
Failing my dog. Now, when you say it's expensive, how much? I mean, we get the big old 55-pound bag of, because I got 2 of them and they eat like horses. Yeah. So, I mean, is it double cost? I mean, is it twice as much, 3 times?
If you're buying like a 55-pound bag, like at Costco, it's going to be a lot more expensive. If you're buying a good quality, like 40-pound bag, like at a local pet store, it will be more expensive. And if you have big dogs, because big dogs eat more, it is. So I always say if you can at least get some raw into your dog. So talk to your local pet food, and people who own and work at the local pet food stores, they're so much more knowledgeable. Don't go to PetSmart, don't go to big box store. And talk to them about it, and they can help you work out a plan, let you know that works in your budget. So maybe people can't afford to go just raw. Okay, well, let's get into a good quality grain-free kibble, and then let's see how much fresh we can add to it.
Okay.
So maybe that means every meal you can add a couple of nuggets to it, or maybe you could do 3 meals a week that's raw. So the more raw, it's kind of like if you think about it, if you're feeding yourself or your kids, if every meal you ate came from a box, it was highly processed, like you're eating just cereal or just processed potatoes and starches, then you would be, anything that you can add to that fresh would be good for you. So if you could add a fresh salad every now and then, if you can add some any kind of fresh ingredients yourself, protein or whatever, same thing for dogs.
Really?
So if you,
That's
you just
fabulous.
That is.
Okay. And then what? Okay, because if I have a steak, my dogs are having steak bones. Isn't that good for dogs to have a steak bone? I was told by a vet, don't feed my dog steak bones. I thought, well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. I want to give him a steak bone.
So raw bones are great for dogs. We sell a lot of raw bones.
Okay.
But a cooked bone can be dangerous just because when the bones cook, they lose their integrity and they'll break and become shards, which become very dangerous in the digestive system.
Oh, so cut that out first.
Yeah.
A raw bone, and you want to do it the appropriate size. So you have big dogs, so don't give them a little bone that they could choke on. Give them a big bone, and it's okay if it has pieces of that raw meat still on it. That's great, and that's what we sell these as well. And they have meat on them. We sell turkey necks, and we sell chicken necks, and we sell like beef bones and bison bones and lamb bones. Big ones that still have some meat, and they have the marrow. So the marrow is really good, and it's not cooked. They're just raw. So you just take it out. You have a backyard. That's great. I tell people don't do that on your like white couch or on your carpet. Take them in the backyard and give them the raw bone. They're going to love it. But if you have a nice quality steak and you've got a good bone before you cook it, cut that out, toss it to them. They're going to love it.
Nice.
So my mother has a Wymie. He's 11. His name's Grayson. And we literally just talked about the raw diet because she'd watched a, pet show. That's what she watches. HGTV and pet shows, basically. But so I asked my mother this question. So I'll ask you, Jackie. I said, all right, putting Grayson on because he's 11, which is old for a Wymie. Is it going to extend his life? Is it going to make his quality of life better? So I would ask you that, Jackie, and someone that works obviously in this field, so I can tell my mom, yes, it's a good idea to at least sprinkle some raw food in because Grayson's quality of life, maybe it'll extend his life a little bit because we weren't sure the answer to that question.
Yeah. Well, I would say just like because they're animals, just like we're animals, any kind of mammal, the better nutrition, the better you're going to be. If the dog already has a chronic illness that they've had, it's not going to be a miracle cure that's just going to make it go away. But oftentimes you're going to see a big difference. So if you have a dog, say that has arthritis and it's getting a little bit older, by feeding them fresh foods and foods that have a nutrients dense. So things like the goat's milk and the bone broth, add those too, as well as that raw diet is very nutrient dense. You're probably going to see that dog have more energy, lose weight, because that's another thing we see here in the United States is most dogs are overweight. They're chubby. And so that's going to cut down their lifespan. So if we can, for an older dog, just give them some fresh food, you're probably going to see them be more sprightly and help prevent any disease that they haven't already gotten.
Oh, that's weird.
And if you start a dog from, you don't have to start them from birth. So say you've had your dog for a while and you just learned about raw, great. Start now. My goal is to get as much information I can into people's hands so they can use it wisely, help their dogs live long and happy lives and healthy lives.
Django, I can't put weight on that dog. I can't put weight on Django. Django's he's a stick. But I mean, he's happy, he's healthy, everything's good. But I mean, he's just bony. And Boba, so I try to put, weight on some Django. Boba's getting fat.
Yeah. So I have, one of my dogs, very, very active his whole life. Of course, when you feed raw to dogs, it's hard to have a chubby dog that eats a raw diet, just because it's very low carbs, and especially if a dog runs and plays a lot. So your dogs are very active dogs. And also, there's genetics. Like there are some people that we know who are just thin people, right? And so it's right. Don't we all hate them? So it's going to be the same for dogs. There are dogs that have better genes than other dogs, right? So maybe your dog has better, thinner genes, and also his activity level. You have very active dogs. So as long as your dog is very active every day, That's great, and you're feeding them a good diet. I would be less worried about that dog having a few extra pounds than other dogs. Now, the one that's really thin, it might help to feed the two dogs separately, because it sounds like they're eating out of maybe the same bowl, or one's eating more than the other one. So if you want to add weight to the skinnier dog, definitely pack some protein in there, and goat's milk is a good way to do that. And any local, it's Smelly Dog, we carry it, and at any local pet store that carries raw food. It's just and it's not expensive, and it's frozen. You just take it and put it in the fridge and let it defrost, put it over the food, and that helps to pack on some weight as well.
Now here's the big question, because we are the Brewmance, we do beer reviews, we talk about great things over beer. Beer's a big part of our life. My dogs will steal beer. My dogs will knock a bottle over just to, I'm not there. You know, GSPs, they're like velociraptors. They figure everything out. My dogs can open doors
smart dogs.
forward and out. They just figure out which way to pull or push. They got this. They're scary. My sister thinks that when she's watching the dogs, they're going to kill her in her sleep. They're just figuring the whole thing out. So what beer and a dog, horrible. I'm like, if that happened, are they okay? Are they going to be fine?
They just, like chocolate?
Can they have a beer with dad?
I would say don't purposely give your dogs beer. So anybody who's watching, listening,
all right.
If your dog laps up a little bit because one spilled over, I would not say that you need to rush them to the emergency room. They're going to be okay. If your dog drank a lot of beer, you need to watch them. Are they able to be aware? Are they eating and drinking normally and able? If a dog's aware of their atmosphere, they're able to eat and drink and go potty, then they're probably going to be okay. If any of that stuff is not okay, then I'd say take them to the vet.
I mean, they're freaky Germans. Let's be real. I mean, they celebrate the lifestyle. They do. They will steal all of my beer and drink it. They have no problem with it.
I've been trying for years to train my dog to go to the fridge and get me a beer, and I've been unsuccessful.
No, they would go to the fridge and get themselves a beer. There's no way they're bringing it to me.
You can't train them for that. They'll open it and they'll be like, what?
Yeah.
Where did all my beer go? Oh, good times. So now I got to ask, because we're my family, we love movies and we love TV shows, and we actually have named our dogs in the past after like my family growing up. We watched Cheers. We loved Cheers. So we named a couple of our dogs Norm and Sam. Are you guys into any like beer TV shows or anything like that?
Not beer TV shows. I mean,
there's a new one
or
on Netflix I haven't watched yet. I think it's called Brew Bros or something like that.
Really?
It looks kind of raunchy, which might lend itself.
Tell me again, what is it?
It's called Brew Bros, I think. I haven't watched it yet. A couple people told me about it. So I watched the trailer, and I'm like, there's a lot of F words and a lot of inappropriate things in it. So it might not be appropriate for the family. So that's one that came out that I know about. I'm trying to think of. There needs to be more beer TVs.
There needs to be more beer TV.
There does. There does. Yeah, I was thinking about it. I know that there's a show on I think is Comedy Central, where they drink, but it's not necessarily beer. They might be drinking other concoctions too, and they try to tell history.
Drunk history.
Drunk history is hysterical.
Drunk history,
yes, it's inappropriate, but I am the worst dad ever, so my kids watch it with me. So yes, I think it's one of the funniest things ever.
So that's definitely TiVo worthy.
Oh yes. Oh my gosh, the older episodes. The newer ones are kind of The older ones are funny. Yeah, pretty good stuff.
All right.
Pretty funny.
Well,
stuff.
one of my favorite, of course, I mentioned Cheers. I grew up watching that with my parents, and we had Basset Hounds, and we named them Norm and Sam. And then, but nowadays, my husband and I, we really like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and that's set in a bar, and they drink a lot of beer.
That's true. Well, that's a different set. So it's a setting of, a lot of scenes in bars. I got to think. I never watched Cheers as a kid. I watched season 1 on Netflix. Solid. I know. I'm out. I only brought one. Whatever.
Yeah. Crack open another.
I know. I gotta go get it. It's in the other room, though.
Yeah. See.
That's all right.
Sorry. Go with what you're saying.
Yeah. I gotta think of a bar setting. I watched the first season of Always Sunny, but I thought it was so ridiculous what they were doing. I had to stop. I could only take it in small doses, so I could probably do an episode or 2 a week. and then wait a couple weeks and watch the next two because I'm like, you're doing the same stuff over and over again. It's just ridiculous, but it's funny.
Yeah.
Just
I think that's what we love about it is that these characters, they're horrible. They're not good people. They're not people you would want to model your life after. I think maybe it makes us feel a little bit better, like, oh, we're good people, right? And the things they do is stupid and ridiculous, but we find it funny. So we like to watch it every now and then.
That's what I struggle with, though, Jackie. Exactly right. The fact that I didn't really love any of the characters, and I'm like, because you want at least someone to root for.
Yeah, and then if you just started, you'll have to wait. I don't know if it was after the first or second season is when Danny DeVito was introduced, and he really brings a lot to it. He's despicable. He's probably the worst of all of them. So you're not going to find a hero in there to root for, but it can be. It's a good mindless 30-minute viewing.
Yeah. But they had to give. I think they had to give part of the show to get Danny DeVito on. They had to give him part of the show just to bring.
Does he own part of it now?
There's no way they could pay him. Someone like Danny DeVito, that kind of stuff.
Well, it was worth it. I think he adds a lot to the show.
Yeah.
So I would add.
If my opinion means anything.
It does. Of course it does, Jackie. One of the shows I liked that involved drinking a lot was Anthony Bourdain's either No Reservations or I forget what it was called on CNN. But I liked that because everywhere I travel, I love to travel. There's always a drinking component. Usually a lot of drinking components when I go. So I will either go on a beer tour or a restaurant / drinking tour. So we hired a guy. My wife and I went to Japan. What is it, 2020? 2018. When did I turn 40? Yeah, 2018. And that was one of the things we did because Japan has this, Tokyo has this famous alleyway with these small drinking establishments. And I'm like, I am going there. We're hiring someone who knows Japanese and he's going to take us to these places. So that real life experience of drinking like a local would is, I highly recommend it to everyone. So wherever you go, whether it's you're coming to Phoenix, you're going to be in San Diego, which has a great craft beer culture. You're going to Kentucky, you're going to drink some bourbon. Do it. Drink it like a local does. Yes.
So then for you guys, is it just beer or it's whatever? So you go to Tokyo and they're drinking sake. Are you drinking sake?
Trying it all.
Good. Yeah. You go to Tennessee and they're drinking bourbon. You're drinking bourbon.
Let's go.
Makes sense.
All right. Nice.
When in Rome.
Okay.
Now
there you go. And if you're in Rome,
yes, we'll get a local beer.
then you'll drink what they
bourbon.
drink.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, good to hear. Well, thank you so much for coming on today, guys. So how are people going to find you?
Go for it, buddy. You give the list if you
Okay.
want.
Yeah, we have a lot of ways. So I'll give you the website first, brewmance.beer. Because we like that.
Cool.
We have a podcast called The Brewmance. So you can get it anywhere, just like your podcast. We, on Instagram, at the _Brewmance, because some SOB took the Brewmance. So we're the _Brewmance. Facebook.com/The Brewmance. We also have a radio show, Arizona's only beer radio show, Saturday nights on 550 KFYI in Phoenix. If you have the iHeartRadio app, you can actually stream it live. You just type in KFYI, and then that should about cover it, I think.
That should cover
Nice.
it. We're
So
good.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, radio,
YouTube.
podcast, you guys are there. People can find you.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. Mm-hmm.
Oh, great. Well, again, cheers. I'm almost done too.
I got a freshie.
Cheers.
I'm good. I planned ahead.
You did. I should have had a backup. Thank you so much for coming on the show today and talking to my audience about beer and local beer. And Penny did so good.
Oh,
She sat right
Penny.
here next to me. Yeah, and she knows Mommy's got the good stuff. We got some little treats.
Look at that.
Nice.
There we go.
Now, what kind of
Good
treat is
girl.
that? Is that a special kind of smelly dog treat?
This is we do make a lot of treats at Smelly Dog. This one is my Ziwi Peak. I'll give them a little shout out. It is a raw food it's naturally air dried. So this is actually a dog food, but it's perfect as treats because it's these teeny little pieces and it's really healthy. It's raw. And so it's shelf stable. So for people who are worried about, I don't want to do the freezer to the fridge or whatever, there's other options as well. So that makes for a perfect little treat. All right. Well, thanks again for coming on, guys.
Thank you.
So nice to talk to you. I hope you'll come back and do my podcast someday and talk to us again about what we can be drinking.
Yeah. We want you on ours as well. So come on over.
Sounds great. All right. Take care. And for everyone listening, I'm Jackie Brenda from Smelly Dog. Thank you for tuning in to our Yappy Hour segment today. Everybody, stay healthy. You don't have to stay home anymore. It's time that you can go back out, but stay healthy, stay happy, enjoy your family and your dogs.